I'm here. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Actually, my fault. We haven't actually tested the slides yet. We'll see how it works. Give me a minute. Let's test the slide. Ikun, I need to have access to the slides. Okay, coming up. You got it? Sorry, everyone. Conditions. So I cannot be there in person, although I would much prefer to be there in person. So much more can be achieved when we come together and learn together. But well, conditions, they are what they are. We will make do. So good morning, everyone. I hope you are thus far having a good time. Is everyone settled? So we're not doing meditation today, right? We're just going straight into the sutta. Are we doing meditation today? We're doing meditation today?
Up to you, sister.
Shall we just sit for a while? I think we should at least, let's just do 5-10 minutes. Let's see whether we are just as effective.
Yep. Thank you. Great idea.
Can I invite everyone to just settle calmly first? Relax. This is also for people who come late because they think there's meditation, they don't want to be there. Let's just relax first. Lights off for everyone. We always start our meditation by just relaxing the body. You should feel comfortable and relax. And adjust your body. Make sure that your body feels comfortable. I would like to invite everyone to close your eyes. Then take in a deep breath. Deep in. And breathe out gently. Deep in again. And breathe out gently. And one more time. Deep in. As you breathe in, you find your body relaxing. The body feels comfortable. Body feels peaceful. Today we're going to sit here and listen to a story of the Buddha, the life story of the Buddha. So this morning's sitting, we're going to focus on faith. $2,500 years ago, our Buddha, out of compassion for all of us, he left behind the Dhamma, which, when we understand properly and we practice in accordance with the guidance, we will experience unconditioned joy and peace. We want to give thanks to that legacy. So in your mind, bow deeply. In gratitude to the Buddha. and bow deeply in gratitude to the Dhamma. Bow mindfully. Buddha is no more. Dhamma, it's not easy to understand until we get it. So our third recourse, we have to turn to Sangha. Sangha who had carried the torch of the Buddha, carry the Dhamma on their back across the ages. And even today, there are still many, countless Sangha who have made personal sacrifices to train themselves so that they know the way to Nibbana. And for that, we bow to their practice and we bow to their sacrifice. Finally, this morning, as we recall the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, our mind becomes peaceful. Our mind is wholesome. So as you quietly watch this breathing, so body is at peace, your breathing will be gentle. The mind is also at peace. The mind is soft. What the Buddha called malleable, soft. So with every breath in, observe the mind that is soft and gentle. This is the wholesome mind. Soft and gentle mind. It's a wholesome mind. Watch this. Remember this. So that you may recollect later. Now we shall rouse the body slowly. Deepen your breathing. And then you slowly stretch your fingers. Mindfully stretch your back, your neck muscles, your back. Everything slows down. When you're in a state of mindfulness, everything slows down. Even when you open your eyes, you can still feel the breathing. Then you're on track. That is correct. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. Everybody managed. I'm not sure whether this across the cyber medium works. Did you all manage to sit? You can wave if you did.
They
I
said,
can't hear you, but I can see you.
they said yes, sister.
Okay. Is everyone awake? Can we start? Let's begin. Oh, I think I made a mistake with the slide. As you can see, it should be Mahaparinibbana 4, not 3. Okay. Fourth recitation. Today is going to be a little heavy. It's a more poignant. We're reaching the last stage. So today there will not be much laughter. It'll be there will be some degree of sadness. I guarantee that. Okay, let's begin then. We're gonna have two key segments. One is on the 4 great references, and the other one, it's on his last meal. There will be some Dhamma, some emphasis on what needs to be done and how do we practice, and those will be useful to bear in mind. Okay, let's begin. So up to this point, I wanted to show the map, because you can see that from the map, you can see that we are about 45% point. 𝐸 he spent his last retreat at Beluva. And now we're proceeding, and going forward is a series of small towns, which I'll talk about later. Okay. So today is the 4th installment, and thus far, at every stop of the way, the Buddha had focused on explaining what are the key Dhamma practices. And then, as Kim pointed out earlier, the 3rd recitation, the last we stopped, the key event was the Buddha mindfully and in awareness, he surrendered his life force. And then he told Ananda that it's going to be 3 more months and then it's over. I mentioned here Ananda's failure and the Mara's invitation. It's just 2 events, because subsequently the Sangha did blame Ananda for not having the presence of mind to invite the Buddha to continue his life force so that he can continue to guide and help others. Ananda was blamed for that. That's why for centuries after, I mean, at the first council, and then subsequently centuries later, they will always have this conversation, this debate. Why didn't Ananda do it? Why did he invite the Buddha? And then there'll be all kinds of defenses and not. Most times they just say Ananda was not mindful, or Mara was at fault because he covered Ananda's mind. We don't know. We honestly don't know. Okay. I don't want to blame Ananda. Ananda is one of my favorite arahants, so I don't want to blame him. I'm a biased speaker. Okay, with regards Mara, again, okay, so what I found interesting was not that Mara came and invite the Buddha to finish up, because he already done it. The thing is, the Buddha wasn't affected by Mara. He had already given up the life force when Mara came along and, hello, remember me? I was there for you right after enlightenment. But what was interesting, actually, in that episode, was that we know from what was said in the first exchange, in the early exchange between Mara and the Buddha, was that the Buddha had every intention to set up the nun order. I think that's significant. I mean, there is all this controversy implying that Ananda was at fault for persuading the Buddha to set up a nun order. But if you recall the conversation between Mara and the Buddha, Mara said, you said, if the communities of 4 segments, 4 population, monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen, if they are able to understand the Dhamma properly and they are able to practice and conscientiously walk this path, and they can protect it, they understand their tradition and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. If it's all consolidated if the Dhamma is consolidated in the mind of these four, you will move on, you will give out life force. You said that. So we know from Mara's conversation with the Buddha this time round that he already decided to set out the nunnery order. So to me, that's the significant part of the Mara's invitation, not so much Mara himself. Okay. And finally, just as a reminder to everyone that there are conditions necessary for the Dhamma to thrive. We call ourselves Buddhists, lay Buddhists. Together with the monastic, we also should learn Dhamma properly. We should learn it, understand it well, apply it in our life properly and conscientiously, because only by so doing can we ensure that the Dhamma continues to thrive. If we don't have people who understand it well, apply it correctly, we can't influence the world around us. And even better, in fact, Buddha considered it important, critical point, is a critical point, that we must be able to defend the Dhamma. But if you don't understand, how do you defend? If your understanding is incomplete, your defense will have holes. There will be lobangs where people can challenge and get away with it. Then some people will say, why are we arguing? It's not that. It's that Dhamma in itself is not easy to understand. Until you understand it, it's not easy. How do you keep something that is hard to understand? How do you keep it alive for the generations to come? It's only when you understand it that you can protect it, defend it, and keep it alive. And it's a precious thing to keep alive. It's a good thing to keep alive. So we should do it. We should defend it. We defend without the angst and the anger and the resentment. We just defend it. That's all. Say what needs to be said factually, and then that's it. Okay? Okay, now we start the story. Today, we're covering 5 items. It will be a long session. You may think that these are straightforward. They are, but there are very interesting points. As you probe a bit deeper into the sutta, you can appreciate it at a deeper level. So this is where we are, okay? Now, some quick observations. 1, the journey has to be hard. It is hard because they are going through small villages. If you recall the map, the following 𝐈𝐍𝐒, there's no more town centers. From here onwards, all the way up north, all the way to Kosala Kingdom, Savatthi, which is the urban center, the next urban center. Up until there, all the way is small little villages. And in ancient time, the villages may have just 100 people or 100 plus people. They are very small. And you have okay, we don't think when they use the word 500, and we know this thing keep coming up. At the end, they also mention 500. 500 is not roll call. Buddha say, okay, everybody like I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. It means a lot of monks. A lot, scores of monks. So many, they say, okay, never mind, we just say 500. So there are a lot of monastics, a lot of monks, and they're all going through these villages. You can imagine, we all BF host one monk at a time it's a big operation to feed the monk. One monk at a time, one nun at a time. BF mobilized resources. This is a lot of them. A lot. Going through the villages, you will know it is taxing on the resources of the villages. So the question is, why is the Buddha doing this, you see? This will come in later. Now, it's good to also ask ourselves, what's the purpose of the sutta? I know I haven't actually explored this. And then now that we've come 3/4 way, right? Let's ask this question, okay? I ask a question and I'm asking a series of questions. I want you to sit back and ask yourself, why did they record this? Why did they have this long, it's the longest sutta in the canon. Why are they doing this? So people will say, oh, it's the record of the key events in the last year of the Buddha's life. It's a big thing, the Buddha's life, right? Maybe. I mean, it should be some aspect of it. I think it's not so straightforward. Because of the emphasis, look, 1 year in the Buddha's, 1 year in a person's life, that's the Buddha, there has to be a lot of events. Why only these that they highlighted? Okay. And in fact, today, there's one particular event that doesn't make sense. I mean, you're highlighting something. Why this episode? Okay. And I think it is really to answer some key questions. You must remember, this is collected. This is a collection not for lay people. Okay. For centuries and centuries, lay people have no access to the canon. You may not know this. For those of you who started your journey, even in this century, a long time ago, myself, I started in 1992. I started my journey. And in 1992, it was so hard to get access to the canon. We had only 2. Digha Nikaya translated by Welsh and Majjhima Nikaya translated by Nyanamoli and Bhante Nyanamoli and Bhikkhu Bodhi. That's it. Everything else comes from the Pali Text Society. Number 1, very expensive. One text is in the hundreds of dollars. And number 2, translation is very hard to read. Okay. So for centuries, lay people have no access to the canon. And even monks may not have complete access. They have some access, but not complete. So this particular sutta was not recorded for you and me. It was recorded for Sangha. Okay. And Sangha, his monks, it's recorded for the people of his time, the monks of his time. They are trying to make sure that people remember the Buddha and what happened. And I think they were answering some key questions. Why? The what? The how? Why did he leave Rajagaha? He was staying there for a while and he's so old, he's 80. And he was not that well. He has always, towards the end of his life, his health was always suspect. Why uproot and move out? That's why I told you the sutta started with the war. And to answer, why run so far? Why not just next door? I mean, he has got support all the way. He's traveling along an ancient trunk road. It's the ancient AYE or PIE. It cuts across. This is a route where people travel up and down. Okay, it's the highway. He could have stopped anywhere, but why did he keep going? Keep going. Go so far. And then, most importantly, when he left Rajagaha, he wasn't in great health, but he was okay. So people want to know why. What happened suddenly? That's it. He left and then we never saw him again. Why? And why especially this last one, so painful for some of his disciples. Why in what the Chinese call 鸟不生蛋地方, right? Where it is so remote, people have to hack through the forest to get there. What were his emphasis? I mean, what did he do? What was he focusing on towards the end? And for the individual Sangha, because I told you this for Sangha, right? For the individual, Ananda said, what's going to happen to us? He asked the Buddha, right? So it's the same thing. They must be asking this question. So you must put yourself in the sandals of the Sangha of his time, especially the ones who are still practicing. They join the order because they believe they can learn and they can realize liberation under him. And then he left. And then it's over. So there must be fear, there must be concern. He has to inspire. In this story, sorry, not he, the monastic leaders, they have to also capture it in such a way that they will inspire the ones who are still there, the ones who are concerned, worried, a bit anxious, don't know what to do. So you see, this sutta preserve the key components of the Dhamma, the key elements of the Dhamma, the key emphasis, how to practice, how to do, what to do in your daily life, etc., etc., and the relationship with lay people. The Buddha continuously having interactions with lay people. So the monks must learn all these things, okay? I think by now you will be aware that the words were written in a very factual, clinical, almost bland. I was thinking of all the words that would describe the tone of the recitation. They are really flat tone. But it's one rare sutta where if you look and stare closely at the words, the pain, the angst, even the nostalgia will shine through. Kind of vaguely, it's there. I will point out to you later. It's there. It's not blatant. It's not melodramatic. In fact, I'm sure you are all aware the movies and the storytelling, they all don't talk very much about this period, other than the last point. But they don't talk about this. There is no story, there's no movie on Mahaparinibbāna. Okay, so bland. Even the modern man couldn't think don't know what to write here, don't know how to cast it here. Okay. So just a final point. It was a record for the Sangha, for them. That's why it's written like this. That's why the emphasis on like this, I believe. Okay. Okay, now the elephant look. I'm not sure if you all have a personal encounter with elephants. I've been to the zoo, okay? Elephants, when they move one lump sum. They cannot turn their head. So the elephant look has its own unique feature. It's a straight look. And when they want to look elsewhere, they have to move the whole body. Okay, there's a reason why I'm saying all these things. Huh? Now we go into the sutta. The Buddha woke up in the morning, taking his bowl and robe, enter Vaishali for alms. The way that elephants do, which means to say in a very stately, mindful, slow way. You know, he's slow, he's mindful, he's stately. Elephants are very dignified in the way that they walk. And then he said to Ananda, this will be the last time the Buddha sees Vaishali. Come, let's go to Bandagama. Gama means village. Bandagama, okay? This, when you hear this, isn't that a little bit of a sadness? A little bit. It's a bit poignant. The last time. So when you think of last time, we think sad. When the Buddha think of last time, it's factual. It's last time. That's it. So he knows. And why is 𝐈𝐍𝐒 so important? 𝐈𝐍𝐒, I believe, would have reminded him of his own hometown, because this is a republic. It is the way that they rule, they govern themselves, is when they sit around the table, a whole bunch of village leaders or tribal leaders, they take turns to be the leader of that community, and they vote. So it's actually in the way that they're organized a bit like the Buddha. And 𝐈𝐍𝐒, they are warriors. These guys are warriors, remember? So it's a bit like the Sakyas, they are also warriors. And the 𝐈𝐍𝐒 and the 𝐈𝐍𝐒ians, they are also very exuberant and very aggressive, strong. I think it reminded him of home. Okay. And then they left, and they went to West Village, and they stayed there, and the Buddha said this. So this is a reminder. Due to not understanding and not penetrating four things, both you and I have wandered and transmigrated for a long time. What for? Ethics, sila, immersion, samadhi, or you call what meditation, concentration, but I like to use Ajahn Brahm's word, stillness, samadhi, wisdom. If you have these three understood properly and consolidated, developed and consolidated, these are mental states, consolidated in your mind, in your daily life. Anytime these three come together, you will also experience vimutti, liberation or freedom here. I repeat, anytime that your mind has the presence of noble ethics. He used the word noble. This is the Noble Eightfold Path. When he used the word noble, it means the person has developed and consolidated as a baseline mental state, sila. But this sila is not your 5 precepts. This sila is purified mind. You know, avoid evil, do good, and purified mind. Noble ethics sila is a purified mind. A mind that has for these monks, no. For us in our daily life, minimal. Lobha, greed, dosa, anger, moha, delusion. So at any time when your mind does not have greed, anger, and delusion, at that point, your mind will flow into a state of mindfulness. I repeat, at any time when your mind has no lobha, dosa, no greed, no anger, no delusion, at that point, the mind naturally goes into a state of mindfulness. Samadhi. You don't even have to work at it. It's a natural state. When it is in that state of samadhi, mindfulness, strong mindfulness, the mind goes back to the Dhamma automatically. That's why there is wisdom. Panya. Okay? You have these three in place. At that point, automatically you have a sense of freedom, a sense of lightness, a sense of peace, calm, and joy. Freedom means what? It means you are freed from lobha, dosa, moha, anger, delusion, defilements, all forms of defilements. The moment any defiled state, worry, agitation, anger, jealousy, self-doubt, whatever, any of these arises, your ethics would slip, the mindfulness goes, the wisdom shaky, no more freedom. It's just like that. So if you think that these four noble ethics, immersion, wisdom, and freedom, only it's the purview, it happens only to enlightened beings. No, these are mental states. If you have those mental states, whenever they are present, you will be fine, okay? You will feel a sense of joy, peace, calm, relief. It's automatic. So that's one part that you need to understand. And now for the enlightened ones. If you have these four, understood, comprehended, done, then at death, this won't happen really. The craving for continued existence. So there'll be no rebirth, no more rebirth. If these three mental states are consolidated and becomes essentially your baseline, it becomes you. There's no more craving, there's no more attachment. The taste of that freedom is complete. It's also absolute. When that happens, there's no more rebirth. End of story. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. No more. Okay? And when he's staying there, he always emphasized this, such is ethics. So he goes into, when he says such is ethics, it's a summary. It's only a summary. But when he was teaching the Dhamma to the monks, it's not a summary. He would have explained in detail what are all these sila practices, what is samadhi practices, and panya. Look. And when samadhi is imbued with ethics, so they are connected. These three cannot be taken separately. They come together. They feed on each other, and they feed each other. It's synergistic. That's why it's a wheel, you see. They will spin. The moment you are able to consolidate one of these mental states, they will start spinning. The samadhi, the sila will feed the samadhi, will feed the panya. When the samadhi is imbued with ethics, it's fruitful, beneficial, fruitful, rewarding. There are results from this samadhi imbued with sila. Beneficial, very helpful for your practice. So you can see it. You can experience it. You can experience the fruit of it. When wisdom is imbued with samadhi, so samadhi follows wisdom. When wisdom follows samadhi. When wisdom is imbued with samadhi, very fruitful, very beneficial. And when the mind is imbued with wisdom, it will be freed from defilements. Defilements, the desire, the attachment to sense delight, sensuality is sense delights. Sense delights means attachment to the external world, the world out there, the world that constantly churn out there. Desire for, this is bhava tanha, it's the translation thing, okay? And the translation thing is kama asavas, the taints of karma, K-A-M-A, karma, which is sense pleasure. Bhava asava, desire to be reborn, is bhava asava. I want to explain it a little bit differently. It's not just to be reborn, it's to become, being. Bhava means becoming, being. So therefore translated as reborn. But actually, at every moment, when you think and you have thoughts, you live in your thoughts, right? You think about it. The thoughts arise. And when the thoughts arise, you go into the thoughts and you live with the thoughts. That's a bhava. That in itself, it's a becoming. So every time you have thoughts and you're thinking and you're chasing your ideas and dreams and plans and all, every time that happens, you have a bhava asavas. The people with very minimal attachment, the less attachment you have, the less craving you have, the less thought constructions you will have. You will then be in a state of effortless, constant mindfulness. in that mindful state, there is no bhava asavas. There's just presence. Okay? And for the Sangha who has realized, they have no thoughts. They were just in constant state of mindfulness. There's just presentness. Avijja asavas, the last one, ignorance. Translated is ignorance. But this one is your holding on to certain habits that sits on ignorance. So like defilements, you don't want, you may understand Dhamma, you may begin to understand conceptually, but it doesn't mean that when you're angry, you will not scold or you will not get agitated. Your mind still leans towards the defilement. It still goes into the habit. It has a habit, it goes into the habit. Okay. So this ignorance, this wrong view, this ignorance, it's really our refusal to let go of certain certain ignorant habits. So example, our attachment to the self. Ajahn Saro said, this avijja has to do with the self, our refusal to let go of the self. Okay. And it's amongst others. It's basically the Dhamma. You know enough, but you don't inject it into your life. You don't constantly live in accordance with the Dhamma. You fluctuate. On a good day, you remember. On a bad day, forgot and don't care. I like that lah. Okay. Okay. Next comes the 4 great references. And I want you all to just see for yourself how tiny these little places were. Okay. Mango Village. This is Ajahn Sujato's translation. So elephant village is that Hati Gama. Hati, elephant, Gama village. Mango Amba. You know Amba Valley? Amba means mango. So you all learn Pali word, okay? Jambu means black bloom. Yeah, all these are Pali words. And they finally arrive at, so the sea, if you look at the map, Bandagama, Hatigama, Ambagama, Jabugama, but Bodh Nagara. Nagara is a much bigger place. So finally they arrive at a place where it's big enough. So I suspect this is also where there may be a lot of monks, many monks. And the Buddha, this is one of the last lessons, new guidance. I think it's the last one, the last new guidance, new teaching. Okay, so this one you must pay attention. It's the last thing he told his monks. You see, the Eightfold Path, they are all consistently his message, his messaging. But here he introduced this one. It's called the 4 great references. Listen and apply your mind. Okay, listen and apply your mind well. I shall speak. References, in effect, means sources of authority. Okay, those are my words, sources of authority. When you say, when I say this is true, I believe this, I have concluded so. You must have a basis for asserting that what you say is correct. In other words, how do you defend your point? Okay, when you say, oh, the Buddha taught it like this. How do you know? I referred to Majjhima Nikaya. So your source of authority is the Majjhima Nikaya. Get it? Or if you say, because you're not someone who reads the sutta, you say, because Bhante Bhikkhu Bodhi say so. So your source of authority is Bhikkhu Bodhi. So on what basis you make an assertion, you have to refer to something. If you say, because I think so, people may not agree with you. Your logic, your reasoning is your source of authority. People may not listen to you. Okay, get it? So this is sources of authority. And Buddha knew. You see, for the longest time, who is the source of authority? The Buddha. The Buddha himself is the source of authority. Now he's going to be no more. Then how are people going to claim sources of authority? This is an important point, because 2,500 years later, we're using the same point. Okay? The first source of authority, the Buddha. But he's no more. He cannot be there to defend. So people say, he said, someone will say, I have heard and learned in the presence of the Buddha. So my source of authority is Buddha. It's a first-hand account, okay? Buddha said, this guy say, I learned from the Buddha himself, in the presence of Buddha. This is the teaching. And he said, the Buddha said, you should neither approve nor dismiss. Meaning, hang on, hear carefully what he said. Instead, having carefully memorized the words and phrases, hear what he said carefully. You should make sure they fit in the discourse and are exhibited in the training. This line tells you you are able to assess whether or not an assertion did come from the Buddha. You are able to assess only if you are familiar with the teaching and the training. Okay? Fit in the discourse exhibited in the training. You got to make sure. First, you got to be familiar. What was his teaching? What were the key references in his teaching? So 4 Noble Truths, 8-fold Path, 5 aggregates of grasping, 6 sense bases, the teaching on karma. All these, or dependent origination, all these, you must understand the substance of that, the teaching under these categories, and you must know the mental states you need to cultivate. Exhibited in the training means cultivating and consolidating in the set of mental states which are indicated in the Eightfold Path, or what you call 37 Factors of Enlightenment. Those are his key teaching. So he said, you don't agree, you don't disagree. You cannot just kick it out, or you say, yeah. You learn what he said, you hear what he said carefully, then you go and check. The teaching, is it consistent with what is taught? Do they fit in the discourse and are exhibited in the training? Do they fit into the guidance and the training guidance? The guidance on nature of reality and the training guidance. If they fit, if they don't fit, he said, if they do not fit, if they don't fit, clearly this is not the word of the Buddha. It has been incorrectly learned, memorized by the monk. So the monk got it wrong. You should reject it. If they are consistent, if they do fit in, if they're consistent, you can draw the conclusion. It's the word of the Buddha. The monk had learned it, memorized it, had learned it correctly. And you should remember it. So the first reference point, it's about the Buddha claiming. It's about someone claiming he had learned from the Buddha himself. And when you have, and for you to accept or not accept, you must be able to say, these were taught by the Buddha. This is the training taught by the Buddha. There has to be that 2 parts. All aspects of Dhamma has 2 parts. Nature of reality as he explained it, the nature of reality as it is, as he had explained it, and the training method, the mental cultivations, the mental states cultivation, you must have to be able to walk the path properly and shift the mind. You have to rewire this brain, rewire it so that you can be able to understand the Dhamma properly. These two parts, you must know. You don't know, how are you going to claim? How are you going to be able to say, oh, consistent with the teaching, inconsistent with the Buddha's teaching? That's why you have to learn the Dhamma properly. Okay? Okay, next one. This is the first great reference is about Buddha. Okay, reference of the Buddha. Second one, they may say, in such a monastery lives a sangha with leaders, seniors and leaders. So the second great reference is sangha leaders. The sources of authority, sangha leaders, by virtue of seniority and leadership standing. Today, a lot of people, when you ask, how do you know it's correct? They will start quoting from, such and such a monastery, and these are some, and this is the same. Sorry, I'm going to show you the third one. It's the same. Learned monks now. So one set is sangha leaders, like the forest tradition, the, Mahavihara temple, monastery, Brickfield monastery in don't know where, in Malaysia. I mean, all kinds. People will say, we heard from these sangha leaders. They are so senior. They know the Dhamma because they're senior and they know the Dhamma. But the third one says they're learned. Okay, senior, several senior monks who are very learned, inheritors of the heritage, memorize the teaching, the monastic, also Dhamma Vinaya, the outlines. They know the framework. I have learned, I've heard, and I've learned in the presence of the senior monks. So number 2 is about sangha leaders. Number 3 is about senior monks. What's your sources of authority? Erudite monks, well-versed in Dhamma Vinaya. So when we say Bhikkhu Bodhi translated like this, Acharya Sujato translated like this is erudite monk, versed in Dhamma Vinaya. You understand? The previous one is, oh, Acharya Brahm says so, because in this center, Acharya Brahmali would come under number 2 and 3. 2 and 3. Because Acharya Brahmali old already. So he's also a Sangha leader. And then he's so well versed. Therefore, he's also 3. Sources of leader, Acharya Brahmali, 2 and 3. Well, not 1, not Buddha. 2 and 3. And you go on. Isn't that how we do it today? Today we still do this, right? This one taught by the forest tradition, this one taught by Mahavihara, this one taught by whatever. That means you're referring to a center, or you're referring to a erudite monk, well-versed in Dhamma Vinaya. But the fourth one, my favorite. What is this one? A single monk, very learned. A single monk, very learned. I call them celebrity erudite monk. So, but the Bhikkhu Bodhi falls under this category, okay? Or Bhantiji, or we still do this. Today, still correct. But here, what is important is what the Buddha said. You shouldn't approve or dismiss, but you must look at whether or not they are consistent with the Dhamma, what is taught in the discourses, the Dhamma, and what is exhibited in the Vinaya. In the training. Exhibited in the training, Dhamma Vinaya. It's also the Dhamma and the Eightfold Path. Fundamentally, it's the Eightfold Path. So that's the reason why, for all of us, we should be familiar with the framework of understanding the Dhamma and the practices properly. Otherwise, you cannot do this. You don't know what is consistent, inconsistent, then what will happen? You will follow people, individual. If you know the Dhamma properly, you follow the Dhamma. If you don't know the Dhamma properly, you're chasing after individual. You're going for what I call personality cults. Okay? And that's not good. Okay, moving on. poignant state already. This one, this is the beginning of heavy emotion. Okay. When the Buddha had stayed in Boga city as long as he pleased, and then he told Ananda, let's go. We go to Pava. Pava is where he met Cunda. Okay. Cunda the smith. This is not a blacksmith. According to, if you go and read Mahaparinibbāna in Sutta Central, go and click all the footnote that 𝐻𝐚𝐲'𝐬 had put in. Just go and click it, and you will see that he said Cunda was probably a high-end, some high-end type of smith, not a blacksmith. It's a high-end kind of smith, so techno-smith of his time. Okay. Cunda, when he heard that the Buddha had arrived and staying in his mango grove, his Ampavali, Ampavana, in his mango grove means this guy was rich. He has a grove, he has a park that can accommodate so many monks. So this guy must have been rich, okay? And he went to visit the Buddha, and he sat and he listened, and he was really charmed by the Buddha. Buddha educated, encouraged, fired up, inspired, okay? So he trained. The Buddha taught him, explained some things to him, inspired him, encouraged him to go practice perhaps, inspired him. And then he was very happy. He told the Buddha, sir, could you come and for dana? I'd like to offer dana. Could you come? May the Buddha and Sangha please accept tomorrow's meal for me and from me. And the Buddha said yes. So he went. Okay. And the Buddha went. Now, follow the flow carefully. Buddha roped up, went to Cunda's house, sat down and said, Cunda, please serve me with the pork. I put in the Pali word because we need to explain that. Sukara Madhava, pork on the turn that you have prepared, and serve the Sangha other food. This is totally out of character. The Buddha had never in the canon did the Buddha say something like this. Had the Buddha said something like this? This is out of character. So Cunda Kwai Kwai did as he was told. Okay, now we want to tackle that word. Sukara Madhava is a source of some controversy because people don't know what it is. Sukara actually means pig. So because, and Madhava actually means, it doesn't mean soft. It means, in the Dhammapada verse 377, it talks about flower wilting, ripening. So it's ripe. Think of it like dry aged pork. Dry aged pork. Think of it. It's pork that has been left to soften. That's why translation soft pork softness, pig softness. But the Chinese translation, the Agama translation says it's a mushroom, maybe bamboo shoot or whatever, don't know, okay? So depending on which tradition you are, you can either take it literally or figuratively, doesn't matter. And I want to bring your attention to Bhante Dhammika's book. This is found in Footprints in the Dust. And Footprint in the Dust has a lot of details. So I went into his last journey, the last days, to look at some of the things that Bhante said. And Bhante thought that the fact that they preserved the name of this last dish, they didn't preserve the name of, I don't know, a name for a Sujata's offering. It's a milk rice, something like that. No name. But this one is the only dish in the whole of the canon that has a name. It's either because it's the last dish taken by the Buddha, but it's specific, you know. It's Sukara Madhava, it's a name. It's like today in our time, you go to some fine dining and they give you something so special, it has a name for it. So this is like that, it has a name. And Bhante said it's probably expensive, rare, or unusual. So the monks all remembered They all remember that dish, okay? It's a fine dish. Think of it this way. This is luxury. Then the Buddha said, any pork on the turn left over, buried in a pit. I don't see anyone in this world who could properly digest it, except for the realized one. Something has gone wrong with the meat, okay? Yes, sir, Cunda said, and he did as he was told. And then after that, Buddha gave him a Dhamma talk, okay? After the Buddha had eaten Cunda's meal, he fell severely ill with bloody dysentery, struck by dreadful pain, close to death. But he endured unbothered with mindfulness and situational awareness. And then he told Ananda, let's go to Kusinara. Okay, few things. And I didn't want to write it here. I'll just say it. I'll just explain it. The reason why I highlighted that phrase is because, you see, you must remember the Buddha style. If you recall his words, Buddha does not tell lie. He speaks only the truth. This is one of the conditions. Later on, I'll mention the rest. He will speak only the truth. At the point where he took the meat, and then he said it like this, he must have tasted it, then he said it like this. It would tell you that in his mind, he could digest it. If he were not sick, barely recovered from ailment, if he were not like this, he should have been able to digest this. Okay? So for those of you who think that he, knowing it's rotten and he still eat it and so, you very drama, right? I think based on this line, he believed he could swallow it and he will be okay. Okay? That's point one. Point two, again, this is found in Bhante Dhammika's book. It was his assessment. Bhante Dhammika's treatment of the book is like my treatment of this. We all think hard about what's written there and what's not there. So Bhante said, it clearly suggests that he had some kind of bacterial stomach flu problem, some food poisoning issue. But you look at the timing, he said. You look at that timing. He ate, he fell ill. The timing is too short. He didn't vomit. He ate, he had stomach upset. Okay? But he didn't vomit. So Bhante's point was, it's too soon. Based on timeline, it is too soon. It may not even have been the meat. But the Buddha didn't say anything. This is all conjectural. This is what the monks who were following him, there were many of them, so they would have remembered. He ate, then he fell sick, therefore, get it? So these monks who were walking with him saw that after he left the house, walked for a bit, he got stomach ache. So severe. It was so painful. They remembered that drama. They recorded that drama that way. But Bhante's point was, it's too soon. Based on any modern science, it will take a while, a couple of hours before you're affected, because the food travels down and then it reacts. Maybe, but he said maybe not, don't know. But offer a possibility. Okay, may or may not have been. It may have been him having allergic reaction to the food. Don't know. We all don't know. But this very significant event was captured like that. Bland. Clinically. Okay. And he said nothing. The Buddha said nothing. He just said, let's go to Kusinara. I stomach ache. I got bad stomach ache. Very painful. But never mind. Let's walk. That was it. Okay. And if it's captured like this, you can be sure this story will fly. Okay. So we know he was sick. we know he started walking towards Kusinara. Now, the other point, he said, let's go to Kusinara. He already had a destination in mind. Okay. And along the way, he said, I need to sit down. Again, not very common. He had done it before when he gave Dhamma talk, and he's very tired. Now, his Dhamma talk lasts the day. Buddha's Dhamma talk would last from the point he comes out of his kuti. His Dhamma talk will last from the point he comes out of his kuti to the point they all retire for the night. When he gives a Dhamma talk, it goes on through the evening into the night. Buddha finishes his meditation. He comes out of his kuti usually in the evening. And then he will start his Dhamma talk. So after several hours, he will say, I'm tired, I need to lie down. And this happens when he was much older. When he was much older, he will say, I'm tired, I need to lie down. I'm going to lie here and rest my back. It's not uncommon. We've seen it a few times in the suttas. But walking and midway, he said, I'm tired, I got to sit down. That's rare. So this time round, for this round, he said, I will sit down. Okay. And he sat. And then he told Ananda, I need a drink. I'm thirsty. Okay. Now, a few things to bear in mind. This is a very hard journey for him. Number one, he's 80 years old. Number two, I didn't write that one down. Number two, this is Indian summer. I don't know if any of you had been to India in summer. I have, for work purposes, not for pilgrimage. Nobody goes to India for pilgrimage in summer, okay? And not in the rainy season, but I've gone there for work purposes. It's hot. It's burning, excruciatingly hot. And number three, he had barely survived. Just weeks earlier, we know by sheer willpower, he got himself to get up, recover. And he just gave up his life force. This is running low on battery already. And now he had dysentery, triple whammy. Buddha was very, very sick. He was severely dehydrated. That's why he said, get me water. But look at what Ananda did. Ananda said, okay, I want you all to picture the scene. It's not easy. You read it like that, very easy. I tell you why it's so difficult. Ananda totally devoted to the Buddha. Yes. For those of you who have served monks, and support the monk, you are their kapiya. The monk asks you for a drink, you will say, I get a drink. Then you scramble off to go and get a drink. Ananda had a very, very close relationship. Later on, you will hear him wail. They are very close. Buddha asked him 3 times, 2 times, 3 times, get me water. He said, I can't find. Carts have moved past, so they're drinking water from the side. Now, this could be another reason why he fell sick. They're going through the villages. They're walking through deserted places. Some places, they'll just drink water from the puddle on the roadside. That's what they do. So Ananda said that this water cannot drink because many carts move past, so it's murky. So you just imagine, this is how, Coca-Cola around, okay? No green tea. They are just drinking water on the roadside. You can imagine how he can fall sick from all those water. It not necessarily was Sukaramadava, okay? It could be just those water that they're drinking along the way, or the kind of food that they had been eating along the way, okay? But the point is, Ananda cannot deliver water. He must have been out of his mind. He must have been quite agitated, but none of it show. Sir, 500 carts just passed by. Shallow water churned up by wheels. Murky but they murky. Cannot drink. Let's get to Kakuta River. Let's get there. Not far. It's not far. There. So he tried to titillate the Buddha. He tried to entice the Buddha. Like, 加油, right? He's just doing that, right? clear, sweet, cool water, clean. And then you can bathe. He's trying to encourage the Buddha. He really is doing that. He's telling him, 加油, 加油, let's go, let's go. They're very nice, let's go. That's what he was doing. Okay. Buddha's not taking that. Buddha said, go get. Oh, yeah, the other point that I want to say. Okay, Arahants do experience bodily pain and discomfort. The only difference is they don't complain. They don't whine. There will be no Arahants who whine, okay? There will be no Arahant who complain. So you can tell me, oh, this so-and-so, this monk, so-and-so, I think he's Arahant, but he whines a lot. Cannot be, okay? It cannot be. Just like that. He merely said, get me water. Ananda, could get me water. Hey, Ananda, I get water for me, please. I'm thirsty and I need to drink. That's all he did, okay? So Arahants do experience bodily pain and discomfort. And if they do experience that, they also will experience bodily pleasure and pleasantness. They will also experience pleasantness, okay? Finally, Ananda cannot take it. Okay, sir, okay. So he went off. He took the bowl, taking his bowl, went to the river. It was all messy, all messy, yeah? And yet, when he was there, he found that they were transparent and clear and unclouded. So he was amazed. He was amazed at the Buddha's psychic powers, he said. We don't know if it's the psychic powers of the Buddha or it was Dewa who came along and, Buddha need water, go get water for him. So they went clean up the water, the river for you. We don't know. But Ananda concluded it's the Buddha. It's his psychic power. So they got for him. Actually, it could have been the Buddha, don't know. We don't know. But remember what I said earlier? When they recorded this, it was for the monks. It was for the monks. So all these stories, it's like, think of it like mothership, yeah? They must report on the day's most interesting event. So the most interesting event for that day is how that water turned transparent and clear. This stanza takes up, you sometimes you must look at how much space is devoted to the practice. Sorry, oh dear. Now I cannot reverse really. Wait, let me see if I can reverse this. How do you do reverse? Cannot reverse. Okay, I can. Sorry. Sorry. No, I want you to see, bringing the Buddha a drink, okay? So you have this stanza here. Forget all the red words, the stanza there. And then you have this stanza. Two stanza already, 2 sets already. This set, they repeat broadcast how many times this one? Twice. They repeated this story twice. This is an emphasis for them that it was magic. This is a story told for the monk, okay? Yes, our Buddha managed to get water. Despite all these problems, he got water. So they're very happy, okay? Now, this one, there is this guy called Pukusa the Mala. So he came from Mala, which is where the Mala is a race of people, it's a tribe. It's like Sakyan, Korean, Wajan, and this is Malian, okay? And he was from this tribe, which is near the Buddha's hometown. They are from Kusinara. And at that time, this guy was a disciple of Alara Kalama. And if you recall, Alara Kalama was the Buddha's first teacher on meditation. When the Buddha went in search of the Dhamma, when he's a bodhisattva and he was learning, this was the teacher who taught him Arupa Jhana. The jhana that he taught was Arupa Jhana, 7th level. 7th level, okay? And Pukusa, the reason why I say it's odd is because Pukusa's nobody. It's the only time he's mentioned. The only time he's mentioned is he's a nobody. No one significant. But this encounter, they capture it in detail. And the start point of Pukusa, just as a background to him, is that this guy is completely enchanted with meditation. He's a huge admirer of deep meditation. And he became a follower of Alara Kalama because Alara Kalama is a solid, experienced meditator. That's why. Okay. And he was walking by, and he's a merchant, so he's walking by, and he saw the Buddha in meditation. The Buddha was seated there, remember? He's seated there waiting for his drinks. So he's seated there. He saw the Buddha, and he was, wow, this guy got meditation power. Because seated in the way he sat, told him the guy can meditate. Okay. Now he could tell a story. Now he goes back to how Pukusa became Alara Kalama's disciple. Pukusa, there's a Alara Kalama, this carts, traffic, heavy traffic passing him by. He continues to sit in meditation. People ask him, did you know? I don't know. Did you see? I didn't see. Did you hear? I didn't hear. Were you asleep? I'm not. You conscious? I was. And yet you didn't hear? Wow, incredible. And became disciple. Okay. Alara Kalama got a lot of disciples because of his meditation powers. Then the Buddha asked Pukusa, which is harder? To sit in heavy traffic or to sit while there is this incredible rainstorm? So raining, pouring, lightning flashing. So it's a rainstorm flashing by. Then you all may say, heavy traffic, very loud. Rainstorm, we can see through it. What's the problem? Because you're not ancient Indian. You don't understand. In modern day cities, with its lightning rod and all, when lightning comes, you are nonchalant. You go, not a big deal. I sit in my quiet house. I am safe. Not ancient India. In fact, this one tells you, he sat through a rainstorm, lightning and thunder and all. In the ancient time, is deadly. People can die. Just as these two farmers and their oxen, just as it happened to the farmer and the oxen. The two brothers who were killed with their 4 bullock bulls, okay? What it means is that ancient Indian, when they hear thunderstorm, they run for their life. Buddha didn't even hear a thing. Okay, he just sat through the thunderstorm. He was completely unaware. No ancient Indian will ignore a thunderstorm, especially with because the thunder, they know there's lightning, they know people die. No ancient Indian. In fact, it is very common for ancient huts to be lit on fire because of the lightning. Okay, so no ancient Indian will sit there ignoring thunderstorm, but the Buddha didn't even hear. He was completely unaware, and people were amazed because they told him people died, and he went, I didn't hear. Were you not aware? Okay, so the Buddha came out after his meditation. He was in the hut, he could have been burned down. And he came out, and then he saw the crowd. Then he asked the crowd, hey, what's going on? And then they told him people died. A cow died, a bull died, oxen died. And how come you don't know? They asked him, and he said, well, I was here. I didn't hear, I didn't see, I didn't know a thing. Are you conscious? I was conscious. Pukusa, totally mesmerized. Totally. Just like this. Any confidence I had in Alara Kalama, I sweep away. As in a strong wind and float away as now sweeps through. That's it. That's all. Now he is Buddhist. And he used exactly that same phrase that people use for good reason. This one got no Dhamma talk. He's got no Dhamma talk. He only heard the Buddha talking about how deep meditation he gets into, and he's a practitioner. Sorry, he is a follower, lay follower. Okay. And just like that. And then he was so mesmerized. He was so smitten. He wanted to give Buddha a gift. And so he offered the Buddha a garment, the color of mountain gold. Now, I have no idea. Mountain gold looks like what color? But it must have been beautiful, okay? And he brought Buddha the garment. And then Buddha said, this is the significant one. Clothe me in one, Ananda in the other. And then the Buddha gave a Dhamma talk, inspired Pukusa, who happily, cheerfully, very inspired, went off. So why did I say that's significant? I said earlier, I have no idea why they included this. I can't quite figure it. So I offer some thoughts. You all can decide what makes sense. Perhaps, I said, perhaps the significance is that they want to record down who gave the last robe to the Buddha. Maybe. Maybe it's about one last lay conversion from just one conversation. Also maybe. See, my Buddha is so powerful, so incredible. One conversation, that's it. Pukusa is his. Now, you don't forget, Pukusa had been Alara Kalama's disciple for more than 50 years. Buddha 45 years, took 6 years for enlightenment, 50 years. He had been a follower and a disciple of Alara Kalama for 50 years. Just like that, he converted. So in case you are wondering, not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's someone who have followed another. You try and convert your parent or your sibling. You hey chuan. Okay? This one 50 years, okay. But there's another reason. I don't know if this is the reason. When Ananda first accepted, 25 years back, when Ananda first accepted the position of the Buddha's personal attendant, he had set 8 conditions, 4 do's, 4 don'ts, okay? Of the 4 don'ts, one was Buddha cannot give him the gift that people gave him. If people offer gift to the Buddha, Ananda said, you cannot offer that to me. If people invite you for alms meal, you cannot ask me to, you cannot offer that to me. And the reason is because Ananda didn't want to be accused of accepting the position as personal attendant for the benefits, for the privileges. He didn't want that. But I must say, this particular 4 do's and 4 don'ts didn't come from the canon, it came from commentary. Nevertheless, you read anywhere about Ananda, they would mention this 4 do's and 4 don'ts. The 4 do's include, you teach the Dhamma anywhere, you must tell me. I also want to learn. It includes that. So the 4 do's are all to do with the Dhamma. If I bring someone to you, Buddha, you must grant me that permission to see the person. So at least I must get some privilege out of this. So one of the privileges is that he can bring anyone who comes to him. So you must go to Ananda for appointment, and Ananda will bring you to the Buddha. Okay. So these are sort of cute things. And why is this important? It's Buddha's last gift to Ananda. It's very poignant, you know. It's very beautiful. And it's sad because here the Buddha is demonstrating to me, because you may say, oh, only Ananda is there. No, there are a lot of other monks, remember? And the other monks are all arahants, you know. Ananda is the most junior. He's only a Sotapanna. You must remember all these things. This is the significance of this. And yet he chose Ananda. It's the Buddha's, I don't know, could be his way of thanking him, could be acknowledging the importance of Ananda for the role that he must play later on. We don't know. We only know this, and you can be sure the monks will speculate, just as I'm speculating, okay? And then came this magic. That when he placed the robe on the Buddha's body underwent a significant transformation. This is I don't know, biological or whatever. It turned color. And it was so striking. This beautiful garment paled in comparison. It's so beautiful. It's gold. He turned gold. There are 2 times, and Ananda went, wow, it's incredible, it's amazing. Why like that? And the Buddha said, there are 2 times when the color of the realized one's skin become extra bright and pure and bright. And what, 2 times? He understands the night when he realized and he's enlightened. At the time when he transformed into the Buddha, and the time just before Parinibbāna. So the end of man, himself as a man, is a transformation into the Buddha, and now it's the end of life. Okay. And then he said, the last watch of the night, between a pair of sal trees in the sal forest of the Malas at Upawatana near Kusinara, the realized one shall be the realized one's full Parinibbāna. So let's go to Calcutta River. And what did Ananda say? Yes, sir. How bland does this get, right? How clinical does this get? Ananda's response is, so they're not interested in Ananda, what Ananda had to say, I think. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's either he's in shock and therefore that's all he can say, or that's it. It's not important. Okay. And a point to make, he knew exactly where, when, how. He knew it's the end of the road. And it's worth noting that all the important events in the Buddha's life took place in nature. And therefore, this is something we should respect. We must always respect nature as Buddhists. As Buddhists, we cannot take for granted nature. Because our teacher, his entire life, the most important milestones are all there. Birth. I put a question mark because a park is a modern term. It's a grove. It's a more tame version of a forest. It's probably populated, a little bit more populated, okay? His enlightenment at Bodh Gaya, unveiling of the Dhamma, Isipatana, setting up the first Sangha. Now, you all say, where is this? The first offer of a site for his monastery was Weluwana. Weluwana was offered much later, which means everything that took place up to Weluwana. In fact, Weluwana is also a forest, but up to Jetavana, everything before that took place in a forest. So when he had the 5 ascetics and he gave them, when they became monks, when he formed the first Sangha, it was in that park, Varanasi, Benares, Isipatana, okay? And when he had Yasa join in with Yasa friends, plus these 5, the 60 Arahants, when he told them, go and teach the Dhamma, it was also at a forest. Many suttas, 1, 2, 3, first 3 suttas, 3 key suttas were all delivered in the forest. And then now Parinibbāna, it's also in the forest, okay? Now, all the early parts in the forest make sense. But this one, by now, he had many centers. By now, he could easily find a roof anywhere. Everywhere, every village he goes to, they bring him to the Sala Hall. The sala is the hall. He chose this place. He chose the forest. You say, oh, but he was walking. He walking through many places. He could have stopped at Vaishali. He didn't. He just went on walking. Walk until here. Okay. He could have gone a bit further and go into Kusinara proper. And there they would have a hall for him. But no, he stopped there at that forest. Then the Buddha with the Sangha went to Kakuta River. Okay. And he did. He went in, he bathed, he drank. So it all clean. Now, look at what he said. I'm tired, I will lie down. Earlier on, I'm tired, I will sit. Now he lies down. Okay, so he lie down. But he lie down, focus on the time of getting up. He was going to get up because he was going to walk on. This little snippet on Kakuta River comes from Bante's book. I told you his book got a lot of details. And he said that today, the river is still there. So for BF pilgrimage, maybe catch a glimpse of that river. It's about 10 kilometers east of Kusinara. But they said, because it's been 2,500 years, the way that the river winds could have changed. Because 10 kilometers for a man in his condition, how is that even possible? It's not possible, okay? Commentary said that they gave a term. The commentary gave a term. I forgot the Pali word, which was interpreted as 3 miles. So this is translated as 3 miles. But even 3 miles, it's a long way for someone in his condition. Agree? So we know it's very clear that he intended to get to Kusinara. So he said, I'm going to continue walking. He could have stopped there. Again, this is another place he could have stopped. But no, he continued walking. Okay. Then came, while he was lying there and he was resting, his mind came to this. He suddenly remembered. Someone may give rise to regret in Cunda the Smith. This is a devotee. He spent a lot of money to prepare a very special dish for the Buddha. Then Buddha came out of his place and he's going to die. Cunda will die. If he finds out, Cunda will kill himself. So the Buddha told Ananda, no one else. It has to be Ananda to deliver the message. Go and tell and speak to Cunda. Someone will tell him, it's your fault, you jialat. So you should go tell Cunda. You're fortunate. Respected Cunda. You're very fortunate that the realized one went into Parinibbāna after eating the last alms meal from you. I have heard and learned this in the presence of the Buddha. I just want to point out that when we are sick, we usually very caught up in our pain. But not the Buddha. Even when he is dying. So this you want evidence of the Buddha's compassion. You look at what he did. This is a dying man. And even though he was dying, he was in a bad shape. He got dysentery, remember? He just bathed himself and cleaned himself up, but he had dysentery, okay? It was bad. But yet he remembered someone else. He wasn't focused on his own pain and discomfort. And I think it's important. So there is a book out there. I don't know how many books say it like this, but there is a book out there, and I forgot the name of that book. There is a book out there that said and argued persuasively that Cunda poisoned the Buddha. I know. I have read that extract, the excerpt from that book. And it was very persuasive, the way it was argued. But if you read this, you will say it cannot be. Okay. Clearly the author didn't read the I shouldn't say it like this, but if he had read it carefully, maybe he would have concluded differently. Let me explain why. So this one, Ananda was asked, so Ananda was supposed to tell him, last meal, very good, congratulations. 2 meals, very significant. The alms meal after eating, which a realized one understands the supreme perfect enlightenment. So the meal before enlightenment, and the alms meal after eating, he becomes fully extinguished in the element of the extinction with no residue. So Parinibbāna, okay? So the meal before he became enlightened and the meal before Parinibbāna, those 2 meals have identical fruit and result and are more fruitful and beneficial than all other alms. You have accumulated a deed that leads to long life, beauty, happiness, fame, the heaven, sovereignty. That's how you should dispel remorse in Cunda the Smith. Now, when you read things, you must understand that the entire canon comes as a whole. Everything there must flow. They are consistent. There is no inconsistency. Okay. The Buddha, we must understand that he has certain conditions before he speaks. And we know he speaks only truth. He speaks only for benefit of another. And there are others like in a gentle and with metta and a high. So it's not important. These are the key critical ones. He speaks truth. He speaks when it is beneficial. Unnecessary, he doesn't talk. He ever said popular but not beneficial, he won't say. So this one is truth, beneficial, and timely when it is needed. So here, in this case for Cunda, it meets all 3 conditions. The third one being truth. So he knew Cunda was innocent. He told Cunda, it's okay, you don't worry about it. It's not your fault. And this is very beneficial for you, okay? So therefore, I believe Cunda is completely innocent. He totally didn't realize, even if let's say it was the food, he didn't realize the food was bad. Even if it was the food. Now, the other thing is this thing about merit making and the effects of merit making. This is his guidance. Please remember this. Merit, there is actually a sutta explaining why when you do merits, you will get long life, beauty, happiness, and so on and so forth. He said, when you give alms, you give food, food yields life, therefore you will get life, long life. Food helps this person physically. It helps him. And because of that, his body is well. You know, his body is good, therefore you get beauty. Food brings joy. When you're hungry, you're not happy. So I know I'm not supposed to drag out this talk. When you're hungry, you're not happy. So food gives people pleasure and joy. Therefore, you will get happiness and so on. Okay. And dana to the Buddha, by extension, the Sangha, will be the cause and condition for all these wonderful effects. Okay. That's it. After he finished saying that, this was a verse which I thought is beautiful. A giver's merits grows, enmity doesn't build up when you have self-control. A skillful person gives up bad things. With the end of greed, hatred, and delusion, they are quenched. This was his last, these were his, this stanza concludes the 4th recitation. Okay. Questions?
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. Can we say sadhu 3 times? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Can I invite questions from the floor, please? Burning questions, not so burning, or so can. There's a hand. Mr.
Kid, you're
Chan.
so happy when there's one hand.
I guess it's you, Mr. Chan. Can, no problem.
Thank you very much, Sister Sylvia. Hope you get well soon because it's quite a sad thing to see you in.
No lah, not sad lah.
Okay, okay, a question about your this celebrity monk and senior monk. Now you talk of checking on all the things with the celebrity monk and senior monk, learned erudite monk. Now here, even now at the present moment, we have mentioned some of the people like Ajahn Bodhi, but
Bhikkhu Bodhi.
Yogi Bodhi and all also and so on. Now, but there are also inconsistency among the top celebrity monk and all that. So how do you explain that? For example, I give some specific example. Here, the reference is always to Ajahn Chah, but in the this Buddhist Palai, they always refer to Bodhi, Ajahn Man, Ajahn Lee, and that is referred to by Thinasaro. Thinasaro also a very learned monk.
Yes.
So there's always this inconsistency. This monk say that, but this one will not totally agree. They're more or less the same, but don't totally agree. So how do you explain that there won't be inconsistency coming down? We will know that when you try and pass something down, there will be something lost. So I'm just asking, is it possible that all the suttas, nothing has been lost?
2 parts. I'll answer your question in 2 parts. Now you understand why it is not good enough to be listening to celebrity monks, erudite monks, monk of high standing and senior standing and so on. It's not enough. Not that they are wrong or right, but it is not enough. What is more important is to understand the Dhamma guidance properly. Understanding the Dhamma guidance properly, knowing what was taught by the Buddha and how to practice. So you have to, because of that, you have to go and read the suttas. Okay? Just as an extension of that point, it is something to also bear in mind. Buddha, we don't know, but I believe the Buddha in his lifetime may not have I think it's reasonable to assume. I'm using my words very carefully, so please listen carefully. I think it's reasonable to assume that the Buddha did not expect lay people to teach. And the Buddha did not expect that the lay people will hear all his teaching. That there will come a day when lay people have access to the sutta, the canon or the agamas, in its comprehensive, complete glory. I don't think the Buddha expected that. Okay. I think the Buddha had expected that the monks must take the lead in memorizing the text, in learning the text well, and then be able to teach. That is why when this guidance, these 4 great references were delivered to monks, he never delivered that to the lay community. Delivered to monks. I think it's reasonable to assume Buddha expected that the monks will carry the load. And for 2,500 years, that was what happened. Up until the internet came into being. When the internet came to, Buddha could not have imagined the internet. Okay? Until the internet came into being and was a storage that people could use to store the sutta, to translate into so many languages, store it for ease of access to everyone. Until that happened, it was so hard to find the canon. Now, what does that mean? It means that it's the monks who's carrying it. The monks are the one who needs, you got to be careful, he said, because the monks are the ones who are carrying it and they become sources of authority. So he's pointing out that the sources of authority can have this permutation. And this is how people will refer to them when they cite authority. They will go and talk about some senior monks and Sangha leaders. They will talk about Sangha who are erudite and Sangha who are famous. Okay, having said that, so my point of answering in this way is to say that be clear that this guidance was given to monks. So the monks themselves must be aware you have this issue. These are the kind of sources that can come about. And the monks would have read, not read, the monks who have learned the teaching. So when he said, know your substance well, know the Dhamma, and know the practice, the training practices well, he would have assumed the monks could do that, could do it well, because they have access to it. And he's reminding them to pay attention to the Dhamma, not just to the people, the personality. That was his point. Now, answer your question in our time. Now that we have access, not just live access, delayed access, store up everywhere. Someone gave a talk 20 years ago. Because internet has appeared, it can still appear. Okay, it's a long access. And now we have a problem because lay people, unlike the Sangha, do not pay as much attention to the suttas, to the discourses. There's no way around this, by the way. There is no way, there is no shortcut around this. You still, if you want to go strictly by his guidance, it is still an advice to you that we have to learn the sutta, to learn the Dhamma well, and to go back to the sutta as reference. Because those were his words. And so you have to do it. You have to go and learn it. You don't have to learn the whole thing, but you must learn enough to have that clarity as to the frame. The what is the Dhamma, the noble truths, the Eightfold Path, etc., and the practice. Then you have another point, which is how do we know that the canon was accurate? We have the benefit today to be able to compare. We have agamas collected and canon and Pali Nikayas collected. We have that, and we have suttas, and you can compare. And you can see that in most parts, for the agamas, in most parts, is very consistent with the sutta, the Nikaya. Agama was spread up north. Sutta Nikaya spread down south to Sri Lanka. The other one goes Silk Route and all. If something that has gone in different directions, so again, you must be mindful that India is huge. They have no way of comparing. So the canon was, the collections were carried in different directions. And if there are a lot of similarities, it will tell you, by and large, they all came from another source, something older, but must have been preserved well enough for the bulk of that teaching to be quite consistent. That's how we know. That's how we know that, broadly speaking, the Dhamma passed down to us is original, is consistent. Okay, that's how we know. Okay.
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. Are there any more questions?
No more?
There's one online, Sister Sylvia.
Sure.
She's asking, sorry, Sis Sylvia, why was Pukusa the last lay person Buddha converted? I thought it was Subhadra, the wanderer, who was the last person Buddha converted.
Subhadra is not exactly a lay. He's an ascetic. He's a practitioner. This guy is, yeah, I know what you're saying, but Subhadra is not monastic either. That's true. But Subhadda, which then seems to suggest that if you are nitpicking about the term, then you're right. But I consider Subhadda a bit different because he came looking for the Buddha. He came looking for the Buddha. He was therefore already quite receptive. Number two, he had every intention to practice. Whether or not he decided to join as a monastic, we don't know, but he had every intention to practice. Okay. So in that sense, I know Subhadda, I just take him a bit differently. Pukusa is outright layperson. And all he wants was just meditation. He didn't even learn. He only wants to know the guy who did it well. He didn't even learn very well. Okay. So that's my reply to you. You may be right. I mean, if you want to nitpick, it will be Subhadda, but I choose to look at Subhadda a bit differently.
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. There's another one from online. Is it too much to assume that the Buddha could not have foreseen the internet?
We can assume he didn't foresee it. The world is not, for those of you who think that everything is fixed and therefore it's inevitable that internet will come about, you're wrong. The world's not fixed. It's conditional arising. And conditional arising is to assess based on the conditions of the time, and then you can project a little bit further. That's it. You will hear in the sutta, in the canon, the Pali canon, everywhere, you will hear that the Buddha didn't predict deaths. He didn't predict deaths, only his own. So even something that's so narrow on the time spectrum, so narrow, he doesn't talk about it, he doesn't predict it. Why would he think about 2,500 years later and internet? Seriously. Okay.
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. Are there any more questions from the floor? Online, anything?
No more?
I think that's all. I
Okay.
think we have completed the questions. Thank you so much. Can we say sadhu again 3 times?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Today, we have to do something else for some of our friends. There are 2 things that I want you all to do. One is a very quick one. I'm still appealing for donation. You read this. Okay, this is my trademark. It's a reminder to everyone that we should always be chaga. Chaga is a very important mental state. We should never take our blessings for granted. And we must make the aspiration to return to the Dhamma. May we continue to enjoy the conditions for learning and practice and never deviate from the Dhamma as long as life lasts. Something you must always remember to do. And then the other one is, I make this sign very big for you. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I just say that this is your last time. Next week is the walk. Next Sunday is the walk at Marina Bay Sands. Marina Barrage, not Bay Sands. Don't go to the wrong place. The Marina Barrage. If you all want to come and have fun at the HCA, do come. I'm not going to talk a lot more about this. I'm just showing you this slide, this tag. If you want to donate, just take a picture of it. Okay. Now I need you all to pay attention. This is merit dedication. We have all sat through Dhamma talk. You have sat in meditation for a short while this morning for Samadhi. Your mind right now is very pure, very clean, because your mind is anchored on the Dhamma. It's anchored on goodwill and metta. So very pure. I would like to invite everyone to come and join me in dedicating merits to the late Madam Seng Si Kiang, who passed on last week, I think. Last week or before that. So can I invite everyone to just spend a minute sharing merits with Madam Seng. May Madam Seng be well and happy wherever she has arisen. This Dhammapada verse is really beautiful. Just as when one who has done good goes from this world to the next, their good deeds receive them there, as family welcomes home one they love. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And one more for your sharing. Brother Bing Hok, he's going for medical procedure. We all want to wish him well, all the very best. May all the Dhamma service and good work that you had done, Bing Hok, that you had done, be the cause and condition for safe, smooth, and speedy recovery. Say sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, over to you.
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. What a wonderful talk. We will look forward to Mahaparinibbana Sutta Part 5. Okay, I think we can let Sister Sylvia, it's entirely up to you if you would like to stay for the rest of it, or
I will stay.
okay. Then let's do the dedication of merits and closing homage.